Imagine waking up in a stark white room. No doors, no windows, and absolutely zero memory of how you got there. But here's the kicker: the walls are covered in buttons shaped like, well, let's just call them little angel bits. Every single button triggers something totally random, and this guy's survival depends entirely on figuring out this insane mystery. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're breaking down Symbol, a movie from 2009 that people either worship as genius or absolutely despise. Seriously, there is no middle ground here. So let's find out which team you're on as we dive into a sequence of events so confusing, it might just make you question reality itself. So the madness begins with our guy waking up in this blinding white void. The walls stretch on forever. No doors, no windows, not even a ceiling in sight. He's completely trapped with zero clues. And can we talk about the outfit? He's decked out in these absurdly bright, colorful pajamas that make him look like a highlighter against the white background. He stands up, totally shaky and confused. He starts exploring, desperate for an exit, but the place is eerily silent. Like his footsteps don't even make a sound. He runs his hand along the wall. It's smooth, cold, almost like touching nothing. He's scanning the room, panicking a little, when suddenly he spots something strange poking out of the wall. It completely breaks the perfect clean vibe of the white room. And let's be real, folks, it is shaped exactly like well, a little male carrot. He finds this super weird and just stares at it for a long time. He steps back, then gets right up in its face, totally torn between laughing at how ridiculous it is or panicking because, well, it's creepy. Curiosity wins. He reaches out, touches it, and gives it a little poke. And yikes, it gives way. It's soft, like actual skin. And that one little poke, it makes the whole room go crazy. Suddenly, with zero warning, bam! Hundreds of giggling baby angels burst out of the walls and floor. The noise is insane. This high pitched, echoing laughter that feels like they're mocking him. It's a cacophony of baby noises bouncing everywhere. They float there for a second, looking all happy, and then just retreat back into the walls like they're made of liquid. But as they vanish, they leave a surprise. Dozens of those little flesh colored switches pop out everywhere. The guy just freezes, totally paralyzed by the shock of it all. He has absolutely no idea what he just witnessed. Panic starts rising from his chest, and he screams for help, his voice totally cracking. He stops, screams again, and then, get this, he actually sniffs his finger. I mean, really? In the middle of a crisis? He shouts into the void, begging for anyone to explain this madness. But the silence is absolute. It swallows his voice completely. He begs to go home, but the room gives him zero response. Realizing nobody is coming to save him, he decides to take matters into his own hands. He turns back to the wall and starts mashing those weird buttons, just desperate to see what happens. And folks, it gets random fast. First, a toothbrush and a megaphone pop out of a slot. He picks them up, totally baffled. Then, pop, a tiny tree drops down. He's staring at it like, okay. But then, bam! A heavy vase drops from the ceiling and hits the floor with a massive thud. He jumps out of his skin. He checks inside the vase, hoping for a key or something, but nope, totally empty. Next up, he finds a button that he just can't stop pressing. Why? Because it shoots out chopstick. Yeah, you heard me. Hundreds of wooden chopsticks start flying everywhere, scattering across the floor. He keeps hitting it over and over, building a literal mountain of utensils until he's finally satisfied. I mean, at least he's prepared if he ever finds some sushi in this place, right? But the fun and games end pretty fast. He hits another button, and a small cart shoots out like a rocket and, crack, slams right into his shins. Ouch! He yells out in pain, hopping around and clutching his leg. That had to hurt, but he doesn't learn his lesson. He presses another one, way more carefully this time, and you can't make this up. A giant floating rear end appears in midair. It wobbles for a second and then lets out a massive cloud of gas right in his face. He stumbles back, gagging from the smell. It's absolutely disgusting, but believe it or not, he keeps pressing buttons. Despite the nasty smells and the throbbing pain in his leg, he keeps pressing those buttons. He is driven by this desperate need to understand the rules of the room. He has to figure out which buttons are friends and which ones are enemies. Honestly, his survival might depend on solving this puzzle. Eventually, the floor is a total wreck. The pristine white room now looks like a garage sale exploded inside a spaceship. It is absurd. You've got that massive pile of chopsticks, the broken vase lying on its side, and that cart just wedged against the wall. It's a mess. Then, by pure luck, he tosses a ball, it bounces off the wall, and ding, hits a new button. A platform slides out like magic, serving up a fresh tray of sushi. And right then, his stomach roars like a lion. He suddenly realizes he is absolutely starving. Who knows how long he's been trapped in this white void? He dives into that sushi, grabbing it with his bare hands, devouring it piece by piece. He's nodding like, okay, this is actually fire. The fish is cold, the rice is perfect. But then the realization hits him. A tragedy. Something is missing. Where is the soy sauce? He literally starts screaming at his invisible captors, begging for just a drop of soy sauce. His voice is cracking. He is desperate, but the room just gives him the silent treatment. So he goes into a frenzy, mashing buttons left and right, praying for that condiment. But instead, it is an absolute sushi apocalypse. Tray after tray pops out of the walls until he is surrounded by more raw fish than any human could ever eat. Totally defeated, he just sighs and eats it plain. And you know what? It's actually delicious. But here is the ultimate troll move. The exact second he swallows the last bite and is completely full, he taps the button one last time out of habit, and pop! A bottle of soy sauce appears right in front of his face. You have got to be kidding me. He stares at that bottle for a long, painful moment. The disrespect is unreal. He swipes it away in a total rage, sending it rolling across the floor while shouting at the ceiling. I mean, seriously? The timing is just cruel. This entire room is literally trolling him right now. He goes back to random button mashing, and check this out. A pair of those old school retro 3D glasses drops into his hands. You know, the cheap red and blue ones? He throws them on, just curious, and suddenly the whole room transforms. The colors split, the depth gets trippy, and he spots a hidden message. A baby angel is floating there, pointing a finger directly at one specific button on the far wall. Finally, a real clue. His heart starts pounding. This could be the exit. He rushes over, full of hope, and presses that button with everything he's got. Suddenly, a digital countdown starts floating in the air. 10, 9, 8. He is losing his mind, folks. He thinks it's game over. He's literally begging for his life, screaming at the ceiling. 7, 6, 5. The tension is peaking. But then, oh, come on. 4, 3, 2. A massive rear end descends from the ceiling out of nowhere. 1. And it blasts him with a noxious cloud. He's coughing, gagging, fighting for air. His hope is completely crushed by the stench, and he just screams in pure, absolute frustration. Hours drift by, and honestly, time means nothing in this white box. But then, a miracle. He finds a manga button. Volumes 1 through 5 drop in a neat stack, and he is instantly hooked. He sits there, totally absorbed, devouring the story because he is desperate for entertainment. The plot is gripping him until the ultimate tragedy. He finishes Volume 5, hits the button for the next one, and he gets Volume 7. Are you kidding me? He tries again. 8, 9, but no Volume 6. The gap in the story is driving him insane. But he refuses to quit. He keeps pushing, searching, hoping for a miracle. And finally, his persistence pays off. He presses a random button curiously, and suddenly, whoosh! A hidden section of the wall slides open with a mechanical hiss. And would you look at that? Behind it lies a door. A real, solid door. This changes everything. Relief hits him like a tidal wave. Finally, an exit. Actual freedom. He drops the manga and sprints toward it, heart pounding, feet slapping the floor. But in his desperate rush, he makes a rookie mistake. He forgets which button he pressed. The door vanishes instantly like it was never there. The wall is seamless again. Panic sets in immediately. He is beyond frustrated, smashing buttons like a maniac, trying to find that specific combo again. And then, out of nowhere, a tribesman sprints across the room. Painted in traditional patterns, he just runs through and disappears into the wall like a ghost. Our guy just stands there, staring in total silence, before going back to his button-mashing adventure. He tries another button and splash! A torrent of water dumps on him from the ceiling. He's soaked to the bone, sputtering and wiping his face, looking like a wet cat in those colorful pajamas. But he doesn't give up. After dozens of fails, he finally hits the magic button again. The door slides open with that beautiful hiss. He bolts for it, running like his life depends on it. But wham! The door slams shut right in his face. It catches him hard in the chest, and he staggers back, clutching his ribs in serious pain. He finally figures out the mechanic. The door only stays open if the button is held down. The second he lets go, it's game over. He needs constant pressure. So he tries the classic move, holding it down with his foot and sprinting. He positions his toe carefully, takes a breath, and go! Nope, he fails miserably. The button pops up the instant he moves, and the door slams shut before he even gets halfway. He is not happy about this. So, for round 2, he grabs a fly swatter to press it from a distance, hoping that extra reach buys him a few precious seconds. But guess what? That fails miserably too. The fly swatter is way too light and flimsy. The button just laughs at it and flings it across the room like a catapult. He gets creative and tries a jump rope, lassoing the button. He even points a fan at it, praying the air pressure will hold it down. Spoiler alert, nothing works. The button resets every single time, and he throws the rope in a total fit of rage. Desperate and totally losing his cool, he grabs that little cart. The plan is simple. Use its weight to hold the button down while he sprints for freedom. Sounds genius, right? Well, reality hits hard. The cart has a mind of its own. It veers left, spins in circles, like a broken shopping cart from a nightmare. He tries and tries, but the wheels just won't cooperate. Totally drained and out of ideas, he collapses on the floor. He just sits there for a long time, staring at the door. It's right there, mocking him. So close, yet so impossibly far away. He decides to try physics next. Maybe sheer weight is the key? He centers that massive vase on the button, treating it like a precious artifact. But the button fights back. It pushes up with crazy force, sending the vase rolling and crashing into the wall. He realizes it needs to be heavier, so he tries to fill it with water. But folks, the room is actively trolling him now. No matter how he angles things or tries to redirect the flow, the water misses the vase completely and just dumps all over him instead. He is drenched, the vase is bone dry, and it feels like the entire universe is working against him. So he pivots to a new strategy, the sushi vase technique. He starts stuffing that vase with sushi, piece by piece, cramming it into the narrow opening. It seems like a solid plan, until he actually tries to lift the thing. It is massive. His back is screaming. His arms are shaking. He can barely budge it. Here's the kicker. The neck is too narrow for his hand, so he has to use chopsticks to pick the sushi back out, one single piece at a time. It is slow, it is agonizing, and it is driving him completely insane. His hands are trembling, tears are forming, but finally, after what feels like hours, he lightens the load just enough to lift it. It's still heavy, but hey, it's manageable. He shuffles toward the wall, carrying this precious cargo with everything he's got. But the moment he sets it down, panic sets in. He forgot which button opens the door. They all look identical. So he starts testing them one by one, praying for a miracle. And on the very first try, that African tribesman bursts out of the wall like a sprinter and smash! He collides with the vase at full speed. It is a total disaster. The runner vanishes and the vase just explodes into a million pieces. Sushi, rice, and ceramic shards scatter everywhere. It is a literal tragedy on the floor. That is the final straw. The man completely snaps. He is screaming at the ceiling, his voice raw, begging his invisible captors for mercy. In a total frenzy, he starts grabbing handfuls of sushi and mashing them directly onto the button. He is literally trying to glue it down with sticky rice, but that little pink tip just pops right back up through the mess, mocking him. He gets even more desperate. He wraps it in layers of tape, creating a thick cocoon, and even reinforces it with a steel plate. But nope, nothing works. That button is unstoppable and pushes through every single trap he sets. The mechanism is just too powerful. It is fighting him every step of the way. He honestly has zero clue what to do next. He is totally out of options. But giving up? That is simply not on the table. He has to keep pushing. He is physically destroyed. His chest is black and blue. His body aches from getting body slammed by that door repeatedly. He is desperate. So he finds a button for painkillers. A bottle pops out and he downs 2 pills dry. Gross. He curls up on the floor in his soy sauce stained pajamas and passes out for a much needed nap. When he wakes up, groggy and confused, he just wants to brush his teeth and feel normal. He presses a button for water, but nope. The room has other plans. A thick, sturdy rope drops from the ceiling instead. But seeing that rope, it instantly lights a fire in him. A wild idea forms in his head. He is going to channel his inner action hero. The plan is simple. Swing across the room like a pendulum, kick the button mid-air, and slide through the door before it closes. He takes the leap. Whoosh! The air rushes past him, and for a second he feels free. But as he flies toward the door, tragedy strikes. It is locked. A keyhole is staring right at him. He has to swing back, and smack! The door slams into his back on the return trip. That has got to hurt. He is beyond irritated. His body is aching, and he just kicks the wall in pure rage. But guess what? That tantrum actually pays off. His foot hits a random button, and boom! A golden key floats right in the middle of the room. It's just hovering there like magic. But of course, the second the button resets, the key vanishes. So now he is facing a double nightmare. He has to keep the key button pressed and the door button pressed at the exact same time. It feels literally impossible. First things first, he has to find that key button again, because naturally, he lost track of it during his little freakout. He starts pressing buttons near where he kicked, and woof! A dog leaps out of the wall, snapping its jaws. He jumps back, terrified. He tries another one nearby. Another angry dog? Seriously? But on the third try, bingo! The key floats back into view. He is not losing this one again, so he grabs a piece of sticky sushi from the floor and smacks it right onto the button to mark the spot. Genius, right? Hold on. He presses the sushi marked button to test it, and it's the dog again. Are you kidding me? He marked the wrong button. The frustration is too much. He literally curls up and cries like a baby, admitting he is totally terrified. But he eventually pulls himself together. He spots that rope still hanging there and grabs a plunger he found earlier. Yeah, a plunger. He combines them, swinging across the room and using the long handle to push himself further, unlocking new areas he couldn't even reach before. After crashing into walls like a human pinball for a while, he finally gets in the zone. His coordination is on point. He is swinging, pushing, pressing buttons midair like a circus acrobat. He grabs the key, swings back, hits the door button, boom. The timing is absolutely flawless. He races to the door, jams the key in, and turns it with shaking hands, thinking, I am finally out of here. But nope, denied. The door refuses to budge. Why? Because the universe hates him. There is a secondary lock at the very top, a 3-number combo dial. Are you kidding me? His heart just drops straight into his stomach. He is totally crushed. He retreats back into the room, and whack! The door slams into his back again, just to add insult to injury. He completely loses it and chucks that plunger across the room in a blind rage. And wouldn't you know it, he hits a random button, and our running tribesman friend comes sprinting out again. But wait, this time he spots something huge. The guy has three numbers painted right on his forehead, clear as day. It's the combination. The room actually has logic. He forgets he's exhausted and gets back on that rope, swinging like Tarzan to dial those numbers in one by one. This is literally the ultimate workout. Each swing is a test of pure survival. He has to balance, reach, turn the dial. It is insane. His muscles are screaming. He is drenched in sweat, and those pajamas are sticking to him like a second skin. The burn is real, folks. But finally, he inputs the last digit, and click. The lock opens with the most beautiful sound in the world. Running on pure adrenaline, he shoves that door open. Finally. But what is waiting for him? A creepy, narrow hallway with gray walls. Totally different vibe. But he doesn't have time to look around because the wall behind him starts closing in like a trash compactor. It is moving slow, then fast. He squeezes through the gap, gasping for air, just as the door slams shut with a massive thud. But here is the cruel twist. The hallway is too narrow. He can't even open the door fully. He is literally wedged in there. He can't go forward. He can't go back. Talk about out of the frying pan and into the fire. He is absolutely crushed. That tiny spark of hope, gone. He collapses right there on the floor, tears streaming down his face. And you know what is crazy? He actually starts missing the first room. He is thinking back to the buttons, the random objects, the sushi. It was chaotic, sure, but at least he had space. At least he was entertained. Now he is stuck in a gray box with nothing. It is the classic case of you don't know what you have got until it is gone. That white room feels like a five-star hotel compared to this nightmare. But just when he hits rock bottom, he feels it. A faint, cool breeze on his cheek. Wait, what? He looks to the left and spots a tiny, barely visible crack in the wall. Could it be? He pushes against the panel with everything he has, and yes, it opens up into a hidden tunnel. He doesn't hesitate for a second. He dives in, crawling on his hands and knees, tearing up his pajamas, just desperate to escape that claustrophobic trap. Where does it lead? To a surreal, endless hallway floating in a pitch black void. No walls, just darkness. The air is heavy. Time feels broken. Things are getting weird. He keeps running into the unknown, but the hallway is endless. It is a total void. No landmarks, no reference points, just pitch black darkness. He runs, and the only proof he is even moving is the echo of his own footsteps. And folks, time is clearly broken here. By the time he finally reaches the next room, look at him. His hair is wild and down past his shoulders. His beard is massive, reaching his chest. Even those bright pajamas have faded into dull, sad colors. The guy has been running for who knows how long. He steps into this new room, and immediately the vibe is different. We aren't dealing with baby angels anymore. Oh no. Now, full-grown, majestic adult angels are popping out of the walls. It is like he leveled up to the boss stage. They vanish just as fast, but they leave behind, well, let's say larger and more intimidating versions of those weird buttons. The stakes are definitely higher now. He approaches them super cautiously. He has learned his lesson, and presses one. Nothing. Silence. He tries another. Still nothing. He starts getting frustrated, mashing them in patterns, trying to crack the code. And suddenly, the room responds. But trust me, it is not what he expected. Meanwhile, we cut to Mexico? Yeah, we are thousands of miles away now, checking in on Antonio's family. And let me tell you, it is chaotic. We meet Karen, who is driving down a desert road like a maniac, having the time of her life. And get this, she is a nun who is chain smoking and shouting words I definitely can't repeat here. She sees absolutely nothing wrong with it. Back at the house, Antonio's mom is getting him ready for school, but she is not exactly gentle. She is calling him a brat, yanking his shirt over his head, and handling him with some serious tough love. It is a rough morning. Now, let's check in on the sister. She is 2 years older, and honestly, she is the chill one in this chaotic house. While everyone else is screaming, she just grabs her bag and heads to school like a total pro. Meanwhile, Grandpa is leaning in the doorway, giving Antonio the look. He tells the kid to follow his sister's lead before Mom goes full volcano mode. Of course, Mom immediately accuses Grandpa of spoiling the kids, calling him too soft. But he throws his hands up like, who? Me? Never. But here is the real scoop. Grandpa catches Antonio at the door and whispers a secret plan. He tells him to wait at the church after school so he can sneak him out to watch his dad wrestle. It is their little secret tradition, totally off the books. He gives the kid a big squeeze, checks to make sure Mom isn't listening, and waves them off down the dusty street. What a legend. Back in the living room, the drama continues. Mom is watching her husband get ready, and let's just say she has some concerns. Her husband is a pro wrestler known as, wait for it, Escargot Man. Yes, Snail Man. She tells her dad that she thinks her husband is weird, and honestly, she is terrified that his age is going to catch up with him. He has been in the ring for decades, racking up wins, but let's be real, his bones aren't exactly made of steel anymore. Tonight's opponent? 12 years younger, faster, and stronger. It is a mismatch waiting to happen. Her dad agrees it is risky, but he just shrugs it off. He is a wrestler. This is what he does. You can't argue with that logic. And just like that, it is go time. Karen, our rebellious nun, rolls up in her car, and that engine is coughing smoke just as hard as she is. It is loud, it is rattling, but she is here to pick up Dad for the big match. And the moment he hears that car, he abandons his breakfast, literally leaves the plate half full. He jumps up, throws on a light shirt without even bothering to button it, letting that glorious belly hang out for the world to see, and grabs his brown bag with the wrestling mask peeking out. He gives his wife a quick peck on the cheek, hops into the passenger seat with Karen, and they are off to the races. This family is something else. So Karen is behind the wheel, and folks, she has some serious road rage. She is dressed in a full nun's habit, looking all holy and innocent, but she is screaming vocabulary that would absolutely get her kicked out of church. She has zero chill. She even leans out the window to give a truck driver a piece of her mind. Then her car starts acting up, sputtering and coughing. So what does she do? She gets out and literally starts kicking and beating the hood of the car like it owes her money. It is pure comedy. Her dad, Escargot Man, just hops in, and she peels out, tires screeching. There is this super awkward silence until he finally asks, "So, how is the convent?" And she switches modes instantly, like, "Oh, it's great. The sisters are so patient." The contrast is just insane. But the nice chat? It lasts about 2 seconds. She immediately cuts him off to scream at another driver who is just stopping at a stop sign. She calls him a slowpoke turtle and swerves into the opposite lane like she is auditioning for Fast and Furious. She tries to keep talking to her dad, but he just waves her off, totally exhausted. And can we talk about the dad for a second? He is sitting there in the car wearing his full wrestling mask. He never takes it off. He looks like a mannequin just chilling in the passenger seat. Karen is such a walking contradiction. She prays devoutly at the convent, but drives like a maniac and ignores her own mother. Escargot Man just stays silent for the rest of the ride, probably just praying he survives the trip. Meanwhile, back at school, the bell rings and it is total chaos in the hallways. Antonio is sitting at his desk, ignoring everyone, just admiring a comic book where his dad is the main character. In these pages, Escargot Man is a legend, a champion, a symbol of pure power. But reality is a bit harsher. His classmates spot the comic and immediately start roasting him. They are bullying him, pointing and laughing, saying his dad is a total joke. They are all on Team Tequila Joe, the younger, cooler wrestler, and they are loudly announcing that Escargot Man is going to get crushed tonight. They call him old, washed up, and past his prime. That has got to hurt. This just makes Antonio furious. His face turns bright red, his little hands ball up into fists, and he stands his ground. He tells them straight up, You guys are just too small to understand. Escargot hides his real power in his heart. True strength isn't always about muscles. But of course, his friends just laugh. They think his opinion is totally stupid and hopelessly naive. They keep roasting him, mocking his loyalty to a has been, until clap! The teacher steps in and shuts it down. Everyone scrambles to their seats, and the moment is broken. Meanwhile, Escargot finally arrives at the arena. It is this massive, imposing beast of a building made of concrete and steel. He heads to the locker room, opens his locker, and there it is, a picture of his family taped inside the door. He just stares at it for a long, quiet moment, tracing the faces of his wife, his kids, his father-in-law. It is a heavy moment. He starts changing into his gear slowly, and yes, he is still wearing that mask. He never takes it off, not even when he is alone. He does some light stretches, feeling every single ache in those aging joints. Back at home, his wife is sitting by the window, stitching away on a cloth, but you can see the worry etched deep in her face. She checks the clock, just praying he comes back in one piece. So the plan is in motion. Antonio and Grandpa are waiting at the church, and here comes Karen. She just finished praying, looking all holy and serene in the pew, but the second she steps out into the sunlight and hops into that rattling death trap of a car, the halo is gone, folks. She is screaming at traffic on the way to the arena. The language is so creative and unfiltered that Grandpa is just sitting in the back, shaking his head in total disbelief. One minute she is praying, the next she is road raging. She drops them off at the entrance, cigarette dangling from her mouth, ash literally falling on her nun habit. Grandpa tries to convince her, come on, stay, support your dad. But Karen, she shuts that down immediately. Her voice is flat, totally cold. She basically says, nope, not happening. She has absolutely zero faith that her dad can pull off a win tonight, and she refuses to stick around and watch him get humiliated in the ring. Ouch, that is cold. So she drives off, leaving Antonio and Grandpa to find their seats in the packed arena. They get a great spot with a clear view through the ropes, and little Antonio is practically vibrating with excitement. His eyes are wide. He is bouncing in his seat. The kid is ready for the show. And let me tell you, the match kicks off with some serious fanfare. The commentator's voice booms through those crackling speakers, hyping up the crowd like it is the main event of the century. He introduces the bad guys, the North Rudes, the absolute villains of the circuit. The crowd goes wild, a massive wave of noise washing over the place. Then out steps this guy in a purple outfit and an elaborate mask, looking absolutely shredded and oiled up like an action figure. The commentator calls him the rudest of the rude and the terror from the underworld. And get this, even Antonio lets out a little cheer for him. He is totally conflicted between admiring the cool villain and rooting for his dad. The wrestlers strut into the ring, flexing and posing, soaking up all that attention. Antonio is practically shaking, asking his grandpa over and over, is dad gonna be okay? Grandpa gives him the classic, don't worry kid, pat on the shoulder, but you can tell he is faking that. Then, boom, Tequila enters with fireworks and music, a total show-off. But here comes the main event. Escargot walks out slowly, and get this, he walks right past a guy on a stretcher who got destroyed in the last fight. Talk about a bad omen. But he ignores it, summons that courage, and steps into the light. The crowd goes absolutely nuclear. They introduce him as the healthiest man in Mexico, which is a hilarious title, and the master of the suicide headbutt. The cheers are so loud they completely drown out the villain's entrance. He is working the crowd like a pro, high-fiving fans who are desperate just to touch him. The commentator is losing his mind, screaming that Escargot gets his energy directly from the sun. He calls him the idol of children and the invulnerable warrior. Meanwhile, Tequila is standing in the corner, jaw clenched, looking totally salty that he isn't getting any love. The ref rushes through the rules, and then we get a nice moment. Ladies in traditional dresses step into the ring to deliver flowers to the teams. It is a beautiful ritual of respect, or so we thought. because never turn your back on a villain, folks. While Escargot Man is being a gentleman and accepting the flowers, his opponent attacks from behind. A total cheap shot. And get this, they are literally beating him up with the flowers. Stems are snapping, petals are flying everywhere. It is humiliating. They knock him right out of the ring, and he hits the floor hard. Antonio jumps up, screaming in panic. Inside the ring, it is a disaster. The bad guys corner his partner and just start pounding on him. But wait, the partner eats the damage and fights back. He lands a massive clothesline that smacks Tequila into the mat. The crowd erupts. We've got a fight on our hands. For a split second, victory is actually within reach. He starts delivering some sweet justice, kicking Tequila while he's down. But of course, the partner jumps in to ruin the party. And the referee? He must be on a coffee break because the dirty tactics are just getting worse, and nobody is stopping them. Meanwhile, back in the White Void, our bearded, exhausted hero presses a button just because he can. And in Mexico, boom! Escargot Man's head literally shoots out like a missile and smashes his opponent. The truth is finally out, folks. The pajama guy is controlling the wrestler like a video game character. Antonio is screaming with joy, thinking his dad is a superhero. But then, oh no. The guy presses another button by mistake. Escargot Man spins around, decks his own partner, and then, I can't believe this, punches his own son right in the face. The crowd is horrified. It is total chaos. But somehow, through sheer dumb luck, Escargot Man ends up as the last man standing. Desperate for answers, the man starts climbing the wall, using the buttons as footholds to ascend into the darkness. And with every single button he touches, reality glitches somewhere in the world. A singer breathes fire. A magician fails. Dogs bark, flowers bloom. He is literally playing God without knowing it. Years pass. His hair grows long, his bright pajamas fade to gray. But he keeps climbing. Finally, after an eternity, he reaches the summit. There, waiting for him, is one massive button labeled The Future. He stares at it. He reaches out, his hand hovering over the ultimate trigger, and the screen fades to white. What a ride!